Hello, hello, hello. I'm hoping you can hear me all right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's a beautiful sunny day here in the UK. I don't know where in the world you are, but I hope it's just as beautiful and sunny as it is here. We've got lovely, I think it's going to be 27 or something, which is amazing. Didn't figure out my music this morning. I meant to have some music, but I haven't. So we're just you and me. What's going on with my camera? It's gone a bit crazy here. Sorry about that. Two seconds. 2 seconds. There we go. Now we're back. Yay. So welcome to Tuesday's Lunch and Learn Live. Hello, Jean in sunny Withensea. Good to see you, my darling. Please do, like Jean, has taken the lead in the comment section. Tell me hello. Tell me where in the world you are. And what's for lunch? I had just leftover rice, noodles and vegetables from last night, which was very nice. And I have my Earl Grey tea, but it is now decaf Earl Grey tea because I have taken the plunge and cut out coffee. It's not nice. It's not happy. My body likes it. My soul does not. But I do have to say, my bloating symptoms have diminished dramatically since cutting out coffee and nightshades. Who knew? Means that I can only eat carrot sticks and lettuce at the moment. But yeah, potatoes, tomatoes and capsicums or peppers and paprika and all of the yummy good things. I cut them out as well. I feel like you guys have been on the journey with me because I did a live just after I'd been for all the testing and done all that stuff. But so yeah, you know, my body likes it, my soul does not. As I say, my body likes it, my soul does not. But hey, here we are, we're doing the thing, and I am feeling better for it. Sheila is having cheese and red wine for lunch. Are you having cheese and red wine for lunch? Oh, that feels so luxurious and decadent. Ha! Kathy's up bright and shiny in Michigan. It's chilly here, but mild. Yeah, prayers to those in the line of the fires out west. You guys have got crazy wildfires going on out there at the moment, haven't you? It's like last year in it was this year, January. Gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago when it was happening in my home country in Australia. It was awful. Yes, sending lots and lots of love to those who are fighting the wildfires and being affected by them over there in the States. Lots and lots of love. And indeed, it feels, you know, disasters in every corner of the world at the moment. It's just crazy times, right? Crazy times. It feels like just you processed one kind of huge thing and another big thing arrives to be dealt with. We've got a lot coming at us thick and fast at the moment, ladies, and I hope you are taking the time with what we're learning here to give yourself those moments of breathing, of coming back to yourself, to center, of clearing and letting go. So important. Deanne is over in Perth. Hello. I meant hi from Perth, she says. Yes, good to see you, my darling. And good to see all of you. Oh, Simone's having mac and cheese, followed by honeydew melon. Yummy, yummy. So wherever you are in the world, a big welcome. And my camera's a bit funny today. There we go. We're all better now. I've noticed that Google Hangouts frames me differently. And my team always say, I can't see the top of your head. So I changed the thing. And then here we are. We're back again. So a big welcome. Today we're going to talk about perspective. I would say there are two things that are helping me to navigate through the challenges that we're facing at the moment. And those two things are compassion and perspective. And I've talked about compassion a lot, having compassion for oneself, having compassion for others. But I want to talk about perspective and how important our perspective is in being able to not only handle what's thrown at us or what is on our plate, but also how important it is for us to be able to repair and navigate a way through those things that are most critical to us. So if you are part of one of many because you want to make a difference in the world, and whether that difference is reuniting two sides of your family that don't speak to each other, whether that difference is ending the neighborhood feud between the people who own the camping ground and the rest of the village, or if it is unifying or bringing two sides together around any kind of difference, religious intolerance, racial intolerance, gender intolerance, or, whatever we want to call it. If there's something that you want to deal with, then we need to get really good at the muscle of shifting perspective. Right, at the muscle of shifting perspective. It is one of the perhaps most powerful coaching tools that we teach our coaches. And I think at an individual level, it's certainly one of the most powerful tools that any of us have in our tool belt. And I kind of feel blessed that my whole life I've been someone who naturally shifts perspective. I've always been someone, even from a small age, who's looked at things from somebody else's side, from another perspective, if someone says, X is this way, someone is this way, or something is this way, my knee-jerk reaction is always to go, are they really? What if we look at it through this lens? So it's been something that I've naturally done a lot of. And I've noticed that during this time, during our quarantine time, lockdown time, and these times of heightened emotion, right? I think at the moment, out there in the big wide world, people want to divide. We want to fracture because being unified is hard. Being together is hard. There's a reason nuclear families blow up, right? Because being confined in a small group with a small group of people with different personalities is difficult. Usually with our families, or sometimes, maybe not even usually, but some of the time we learn to do it, and we learn to do it well, and they're great families. And sometimes we don't, and that's where divorce happens, or fracturing happens, or funny whatever. But people are people, and everybody has different opinions, and everybody has a different perspective. And unless we can get good at perspective, we are all going to fall prey to the divisive nature of how the culture wants us to be right now, right? Right from politics, right, where it's party politics, and you're either this or you're that, yeah? Through to what's your stance on anything. It's black and white, black, white, black, white. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that there aren't some things that are abjectly, ethically right and wrong, right? Clearly. But our ability to shift perspective is critical if we want to do any kind of inner repair work for ourselves or outer repair work for the environments that we find ourselves in. So I'm interested, for those of you who are here with me live, and it's good to see you, what are the aspects or the areas of your life or things that are going on out there in the world that bother you? What are the things where you see tension or conflict, either internally or externally, and that's bothering you? Great. So Deanne says, I want to make a difference helping single mums end the stigma by having amazing mindsets. So I want to help single mums end the stigma by having amazing mindsets. So Deanne's motivated to support single mums, to really help them through whatever that challenge is, and help them to have amazing mindsets. What else? What else is out there that annoys you, that bugs you? Because I want to, while you're telling me that, I want to tell you a little story. And you may have heard this because it's a great teaching tale that is used quite a lot. I forget where I heard it from, but I've heard it from multiple sources over the years. I don't know where it originated. But there's a lovely story about a man who is with his children on the train. And the children, they're young, maybe 4 and 6 years old, and they are running amok over the train, They're climbing all over the seats, they're shouting, they're jumping up and down, they're accidentally hitting the person sitting, in front of them on the train. They're pretty much just driving the entire carriage crazy. And there's a woman watching them across the aisle, thinking, God, get your kids under control. This is a public environment. This is public transport. This is get them under control. They're wrecking public property. They're making the train difficult for everybody. Yeah. So we see these things happen in life, right? And we form our opinions and our judgments. And it's interesting. The woman ends up being the last one on the carriage with these guys, and she's just about to say something to the man. And they pull up at the next stop, and he gathers his kids together. And as they're climbing over and out, they trip over her bag, and he just says, so sorry. And she says, what's going on? And ready to launch into a, come on, you really should pull your kids together. And he says, I'm so sorry. They lost their mother yesterday, and I just don't know what to do. It gets me every time. It's very easy for us to judge. It's very easy for us to judge others, and it's very easy for us to judge ourselves when we're in an echo chamber, right? And this woman in the carriage was in the echo chamber of her own mind. She hadn't thought to go and see things from his perspective, or even perhaps wondered what was going on. She just saw a man who couldn't handle his children. And I think out there in the world right now, we see a lot going on in echo chambers. We see a lot going on where we don't know exactly what the whole story is, right? We have, and what it does is it polarizes. There's movements to want to polarize us. And this is just the same for when we need to shift perspective on ourselves. So in that situation, what's happened for the woman to understand the behavior of the child is she's gone from looking at her interpretation of what's happening for the child to understanding a piece of information that the man has about what's going on for the children. She can see the behavior in an entirely different lens, and how she would be of support or how she would end the bad behavior, if indeed it progressed to that, would be completely different. So I think this is why the ability to shift perspective is critical. So first of all, let's talk about things from our own personal perspective. Does this make sense, ladies? Let me know with a bit of a thumbs up or a hit the heart button or in the comment section if this is making sense. That we need to be able to shift out of our own version of reality, if you like, the only version that we know in our own heads, in our own little social media feeds, in our own friendship groups, whatever. We need to be able to shift out of that and get creative at looking at things from different perspectives. In fact, if there was one leadership skill that I would say is the most critical, it's the ability to do this. It's the ability to see things from multiple perspectives. So if we look at it for ourselves right now, many of us right now are looking at our lives, looking at our own effectiveness, looking at our own impact, looking at our own abilities to do our work or to parent through the lens of pre-January 2020, when all sorts of things were probably different. If you're a mother, you probably had more options for childcare. If you're single, as a single person, you probably had more social network and support. You certainly didn't have to make 18 decisions before breakfast about can you get groceries delivered? If you can't, when are you going to go and get them? It's just general life. Have we got enough now hand san and masks, and is it safe for me to put my kids back to school, and all of that kind of stuff, right? This we are using our executive function. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot in our Lunch and Learn lives. We are using our executive functioning, our decision-making capacity, which is a fatigable part of our brain, right? We are using it just on the basics, not as much as we were perhaps at the beginning of lockdown, where we couldn't get toilet paper and we couldn't get eggs and we couldn't get our pasta, gluten-free pasta, or any pasta in some cases, right? Not just at the beginning of lockdown where it was that, and that was really hard. No wonder we were exhausted. But it has been heightened ever since. Do you remember back in the, what was it called? Halcyon? Halcyon? The salad days, the past days, the good old days before coronavirus, when the world was shit, let's face it, climate change was a thing, racism was a thing, gender inequality was a thing, all of these things were things, but we were kind of all, what wasn't a thing was, can I get some toilet paper? For most of us. For some people, that was still a thing, and that's clearly an issue that needs addressing. But, what wasn't a thing was, can I get toilet paper? Can I get food that my children can eat? Can I get food at all? Can I get to a doctor's appointment that I need? Can I get testing for this horrific disease that I might have? Those were not things. By and large, stuff was working okay. And at least in most of our interactions with our everyday life, and I know I speak from a position of privilege here, but for most of us in this community, in privileged positions where we didn't have to use our executive functioning up on getting through the basic habits of daily life. However, that has shifted, right? It has shifted. We have had to learn an entirely new way of operating in the world. Little things, school drop-off, right? I don't know what it's like at schools where you go to, but we're not allowed to get out of the cars. We're not allowed to talk to the teachers because our school is kind of in the middle of a field that's not even in a village. It's you've got to kind of drive into it, and so it's literally drop your kids off. You don't get to speak to teachers. You don't get to see how are they doing. You don't get to ask what happened. There's just more, right? There's more that we're dealing with. There's more that we're thinking through. And that's just from my personal experience. What is it that you're noticing? What are the extras? The extras that you are consistently having to figure out now that didn't have to be consistently figured out. They were stable needs that we would, in our vernacular, they were things that were taken care of. They were basics that were taken care of. Had a job, was able to get some food on the table, things were doing okay, right? So we are having to, so that takes something from us, yeah? That takes something from us, this consistent having to manage just on the basics. Yet, we now judge ourselves because we are not coming up with the great new creative idea to get our business off the ground, or we are not feeling like we've got enough energy to go out and apply for all of the jobs that we have to apply to because we've been made redundant, or we're not, or we find ourselves, shouting at our kids because we're exhausted and we're not parenting well. And we are judging ourselves, so we are judging ourselves through the same perspective. We're judging ourselves in pre-COVID glasses, yeah? And some of us, let's face it, some of us might not have even been coping too well pre all of this. Does that make sense, ladies? If you were having a tough time pre all of this because you have underlying mental health conditions, or you have underlying health conditions of any sort, not even mental health, physical health conditions, or you have you had job insecurity, or you're in a relationship that was challenging. If you had all of that before, and then you add this on top, of course we're going to end up here. So the first perspective I think we need to shift is the ability to look through new glasses and understand. There's a piece of information, right? There's a learning piece that needs to come in, which is, what are we dealing with now? And why is it not as easy as it was for me to cope, to handle, to be as resilient, right? Because it can look, at a surface level, it can look like, okay, this is the new normal. I'm coping. But often we're not. And I see this, I was just speaking to one of our Living the Change graduates the other day, actually, Amy Driver, and she was talking about how she joined our Living the Change program when she'd burnt out at work. She'd had a really busy time. She's also in a church group. She shares a really lovely interview, actually, which I'm going to be sharing on the weekend at Momentum for Change. You guys should come to that if you're not already registered. Fabulous 2-day event, completely free. Get yourself registered. I'll put a link in the comment section in a bit. Anyway, I was talking to Amy about this, and she said that she was very busy at work, like under a lot of pressure, full-time work. She's got 2 young girls they would have been early teens, I guess, when she was going through all of this, and very busy in her church group with property development that they were doing at the church and so on, bunch of different things she was juggling. And she had to cope and deal with all of it. Difficult situations, relationships at work and things were tense. She got through it all, right? And then things got calm. And then she still couldn't, she was saying, I just wasn't able to function. Even though I'd dealt with it all and I'd got through it all, I wasn't able to function. And I just thought, oh God, what's wrong with me? Something's got to change. And that's when she joined Living the Change. And she said it had only been relatively recently she realized what had happened was burnout. And this is what happens. And I think this is the perspective. Until we get a bit of education and fully understand how our human system works, our psychology, how that interacts with our physiology, when we understand that, then we paint that across what's been going on over these last few months, we can absolutely shift our perspective and more fully appreciate why we are responding the way we are. Because I think for many women in our community right now, we are either pre-burnout or in burnout, or maybe we don't want to give it that name because it comes with a lot of stigma, but I say we're full up with emotion and deplete of energy, right? Which is tantamount to the same thing. If you're feeling that inability to decide, you're procrastinating, inertia, you're not feeling as creative as you want to be feeling, this is one of the critical reasons why. Does that make sense, ladies? So the first piece is shifting this perspective. It's got to be shifting perspective. And one of the ways that you can shift perspective is there's a piece of information that's missing. At Momentum for Change, we're going to dig into this in a lot of detail. What and why and how does this system work so that we understand exactly what is missing and therefore what we need, to do to heal that. Does that make sense, ladies? Really, really critical. So let's hear from a few of you. So yeah, Maili says the challenge that she's having is fitting work around childcare. Absolutely. Deanne says, I had to figure out people dropping off food. Now I work from home due to immune system being compromised, but we're blessed in Perth. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, right. Like how do we get basics into our home? Like these are big projects, yeah. Anna says, we've got quite a few from Perth here by the looks of it. Deanne's in Perth. Anna says, yeah, I'm incredibly lucky that life is relatively normal here in Western Australia, but I do worry about how I'm going to see my family again. Yeah, right. Mum and brother in the UK, it looks like 10 plus months before our borders are likely to open, and the rest of the world. I hear you on that, Anna. I've spent quite a bit of time, it's going to come up again. I don't know why it's really hitting me at the moment. Quite a bit of time missing my mum at the moment and not knowing when I'm going to be able to get on a plane back to Australia. You know, even if it felt safe to travel, you can't get on planes. That's exactly right, you know. And that takes something, grieving that consistently, as it keeps coming up for me and as it would for you, Anna, and for so many of us. That's what it is for me, but we all have these things that need consistent grieving or need consistent processing. If I were to judge myself by, oh, I'm hopeless, I can't even do a Facebook Live without crying, and judge my effectiveness and efficiencies by my all of this standards. So much about this moment would be, so I would be found lacking in so much if I did that. But what I found really helps me is the ability to just be where I am and really present to what's going on in my body and my emotions, and to make my judgments from there, It's that shift in perspective for oneself. So in Anna's case, knowing that the amount of energy you have available for business building or work or parenting if you're a parent, or kid, or being with your, impacting the world in any way, the amount of energy is depleted by the uncertainty of not seeing family, or the grief of not seeing family, right? We all have these things. Deanne says, yes, so true. Some people are doing it so hard. Lack of connection's not healthy for the soul or mind, right? Exactly. So, so important. Oh, look, you ladies are all just pouring. Please don't apologize, Anna. It's totally fine. Yeah. So I think this is so that first shift in perspective is a shift in perspective for ourselves. And the shift in perspective is what allows us to have compassion. The other piece of the personal shift in perspective, I keep coming back to this and I say it again. This is a chapter we're in. This is a chapter that we're in. We will come out of this chapter and there will be a new chapter. At the beginning, it was global pandemic, zombie apocalypse. Oh my God, no one knew, right? Literally, God, are we going to have people storming our doors to steal our food? Like all sorts of things, weird things going through people's head. Otherwise, why were there so much toilet paper hoarding? I don't know, right? Lots of things at the beginning. Then that changed while we're in lockdown, right? And then it changes again as we ease up and we come out here in the UK, and every country's in a slightly different perspective or place on this. But they're chapters. Each of them has been a chapter. We're in another chapter now, which is that I should be, in the UK, what it feels like, and I know that for many in the US, this is the case as well, and for in Australia, not so much Melbourne, which I know is back down in tight lockdown, but in other countries or in other states around Australia, what I'm hearing, and also a bit in New Zealand, is, well, we're back into it. Where's my energy? Why we should be doing something. So that chapter recognition. So what if the name of this chapter the name of this chapter, at a personal perspective, this perspective that this chapter will end. But what if we rename this chapter Replenish? What if we renamed this chapter Refuel? What if we renamed this chapter Charge Up, Recover, Heal? Not only that, right? Because clearly we have to get really good at working in parallel. We can't go and have a lovely long month's holiday somewhere and replenish and recharge these days. Or maybe you can, great, do it. But what if that became the name, the theme of this chapter that you're in, to be able to get you back in your momentum? I feel that that's critical. And then I feel like this parallel working is something we need to sustain throughout time. Do you know? We can't just do it for a time. That's why we're hosting Momentum this weekend, Momentum for Change. That's why it's happening this weekend, ladies. If you're not already registered, if it's the first that you've heard about it, we would love to have you there. Excuse me. Let me tell you how many ladies we've got joining us right now. I forgot to check this morning, but I know Justine and she'll have it here. 2,469 ladies as of this morning are joining us from over 48 different countries. What? Excuse me. I'm coughing a lot. Excuse me. That's better. So it's going to be an amazing weekend, and what we're really digging into at a deep and transformational level is exactly this that we're talking about, helping you to be able to tap back into the momentum that you may have had before all this, or that you might not have had for years. But it's available to all of us, provided we can unlock the reserves that are inside of us by taking out that which is not serving and charging up with that which is. And that's what we'll be doing this weekend, ladies. It'll be fabulous to have you there. The link, if you want to get registered, is oneamany.co.uk/momentum. oneamany.co.uk/momentum. Yay, Sheila's going to be there on the weekend. Deanne says, I completely forgot. Oh, goodness me, I am coughing a lot. So that's the perspective for ourselves. That's the perspective shift for ourselves. Then comes the perspective shift around healing in terms of building bridges. You know, I think all of us as women have the capacity to be amazing bridge builders, to be amazing healers of the fabric. In the Aboriginal culture in Australia, and I want to, in the Indigenous culture, and please forgive me if I recreate this incorrectly. It's just through my reading. I haven't heard this firsthand. So if I recreate this incorrectly, please forgive me, and please do share in the comments more accurately. But there's a in Indigenous cultures in Australia, there's a piece that women are responsible for in the tribe, where it is about weaving the energies, healing the this is my paraphrasing of it, but weaving the fabric of the energies between people, having a tune into what is going on between people, and helping to build those bridges I keep coming back to a metaphor that I use a lot in leadership when I'm talking about sorceress leadership, which is leader as weaver, that our job is to weave the fabric of the threads of energy between people and easing out those kinks and making them flow. I see my role as a leader inside my organization to make sure that all of my team members are working easily, because no one comes to work to do a bad job. 95 times out of 100, the reason that someone's not doing a great job isn't because they don't want to do a great job. It's because there's something going on in the fabric, in the energy, either internally for them or between them and someone else in the organization, right? So this piece on working on the energies is a critical part. So I believe we women have the capacity to be able to really do a lot for healing some of the challenges that we see in the world at the moment. And what do we see in the world right now but a lot of divisiveness, a lot of inequality, and a lot of challenge. And I'm not saying that all of us need to stand up tomorrow and, and lead the charge on something that feels well outside our comfort zone. But what I am saying is that at every single small level, we need to be a stand for that which we believe in, not in a divisive way, not in a way that it says, I believe in this, I am right and you are wrong, but comes from that place of, okay, let me shift perspective, see things from your perspective, see things from your own perspective, not just from those two perspectives, but what other multiple perspectives are available on this situation. How do we get good at least finding the third perspective between things? And that is where we can find openness, where things become binary, right? Where it's right, wrong, good, bad, whatever, where things become binary, we get stuck because we end up oftentimes falling. We either fail ourselves or we fail others, or other people fail us because of this binary judgments. So there's this perspective shift that I think is available to us to look at, okay, seeing things from another perspective is another person's perspective is one way to start it, but it's also then starting to look above it, seeing yourself as an individual different from you, like seeing yourself in the third person, seeing other people in the third person, seeing two parties that are interacting or in conflict in some way, shape, or form, seeing that from the different perspective, from this bigger, more zoomed out perspective. Is this landing, ladies? I don't have a lot of language for it because it is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It is something which is in my realm of kind of what I would call sorceress leadership, the sorceress aspect of my leadership, something that I naturally do tend to do. I don't say I'm brilliant at it, but I naturally do tend to do. But that I think that it has been one of the things that's allowed me to kind of come through this okay, and I hope as I'm stepping up and kind of doing what matters for me in the world, I'm consistently trying to map my way around and look at things from multiple different perspectives to be able to more fully understand. And remember this piece on information. If there's a piece of information that's missing, we need to go find what that piece of information is, yeah? So I think a bit of there's a critical piece here on that getting the piece of information, because that often helps us shift the perspective. Absolutely. Sheila says, a little bit of kindness and authenticity in each daily contact is vital progress. Absolutely. I totally concur. Absolutely. So, yes. That's it. Vicky says, the only constant is change. Finding your small piece now that is safe and sound is so important, reaching out and supporting each other. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. That's great. Ruth says, yes, I get it. It's landing with me, something I've been thinking about for a while. And I think if we want to, heal these organizations or institutions or families or communities that are important to us, this skill becomes critical, this skill of shifting perspective. So we're going to talk about this on the weekend. We're going to talk about it some more on the weekend, ladies. I really invite you to come along. If this has been useful for you, please do share it with somebody. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone that you believe in, that is looking for a bit of help. Tag someone in the comment section or share it to your Facebook page. It'd be fantastic. Welcome them into the B1 community. Come have them be a part of, this context, because I really do think in the B1 community, and if you're not already in there, you absolutely should join it. It's our closed Facebook group. It's free, but for our kind of wider community. One of the things I see in there is this safe space where people feel they can bring their not sure, and they can bring, I need some advice, and they can hear from multiple different perspectives. We can be that for each other when we have safety and security and containment. We can't be that for each other when the space is not safe. When the space is not safe, it becomes polarizing, it becomes divisive. But one of the things I'm most proud of in the B1 community is that. And anytime it does get a little off track, and everyone's human beings, sometimes conversations do get a little off track, we moderate, we challenge, and we help bring it back into that safe, caring space where we can start to learn to see things from multiple perspectives, which helps us at an individual level to overcome our own obstacles. It helps us at an individual level to have more compassion for ourselves. It helps us at a relationship level to have more compassion for others, for the people in our lives, and for the groups that are in our lives. And it helps us, I think, there to become what I see we as women can become, and that is the weavers of this new fabric, this new paradigm. We can do this. One of the critical pieces we need to get good at is being able to help people to build bridges, and the foundational piece here is the ability to see things from a couple of different perspectives at least. Yeah. If you don't have any questions about this, I'll finish up for the day, but I'm really interested in what you're taking away from today's Lunch and Learn Live. So please do share in the comment section. What are you taking away? What action are you going to take with this? What action are you going to take with this? That's lovely, Sheila. Sheila says, this safe space is awesome. Thank you so much. I agree, Sheila. It's beautiful what we've been blessed with here in One of Many. I would like to take responsibility for it, but I don't think I can. It's a co-creation with everybody who is being moved by what we're talking about. Liz says, I love this perspective, Jo. Great. Excellent. Excellent. So over the next few days, I'm going to be pulling together all of the last details for Momentum, which is going to be so much fun. We're kicking off at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, London time. We've got people from all over the States, Canada, lots of people joining us from Canada, which is super amazing. A few people from Central and Southern America. We've got lots coming from Europe, lots from the UK and Ireland. We've got lots coming from Australia and lots in New Zealand this time. And then lots of people scattered then all over the rest of the world, which is exciting. In Africa, in the Middle East, in East Asia as well. Lots of little pockets, which is exciting. I'm so looking forward to the amazing community that we'll be building this weekend. If you're already registered, remember that you can get, if you get a premium ticket, which is only £47, it gives you a few really cool things. One, it gets access into a great coaching group with me on Saturday night. So we're going to do it's going to be like one of our Living the Change coaching calls, where we're going to do some coaching. We're going to go into breakouts and do some networking and get to meet some new people. And we're going to have virtual cocktails. Also, it gets you the recordings of the event, the recordings of the event, which will be available for 6 months afterwards, so you can listen to anything that you miss. Or if you can't come to the weekend and you're bummed because you're missing out, buy a premium ticket. Okay, you can't come to the weekend, but you can at least get the recordings. And then also it gets you a deck of our beautiful Power Types cards, which will be amazing support for the learning that you'll be going through that weekend. So you're going to absolutely love it. Sheila says, thank God that's our 10 a.m. in South Africa. Yeah, it's good timing. Good timing for South Africa for sure. So we're absolutely going to be there for you this weekend. If you know anyone, if you've got a girlfriend, if you've got a mum, a sister, someone you think that could really use it at this time, please do share it with them. Get yourself your premium ticket if you need it. It's going to be an amazing weekend. Thank you, Deanne. Deanne says, I made sure that I was registered for the weekend as I need to fill my cup. Thanks, lovey. May you have a gentle day. Thank you. Yeah, I am trying to have a gentle day today because I am doing a lot of grief at the moment. It's just right back up and in my face. I don't know why. Just waves, right? That's how grief works, isn't it? Missing my family so much right now. So I am trying to be kind to myself and take it gently, really, really gently. So practice what you preach, right? Practice what you preach. I might do a bit of gentle video editing later today. All right. I look forward to seeing those of you who are joining us on the weekend on Saturday. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. And bring your open hearts, bring your empty cups or full cups. We'll empty out that which is not serving. We'll fill you up, and come and meet some beautiful women from all over the globe. It's going to be a really powerful weekend where I know we're going to feel that sense of community and collaboration and connection for change. It's going to be amazing, ladies. I know it. I just know it in my heart. See you then. Bye.